What is up, guys? I am back after a year of a little indefinite hiatus, but after many shooting your shots in the DMs, I finally got one yes. So without further ado, I have Christian Pulgarin from East Coast band Currents. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Glad it's so nice to be able to hear somebody pronounce my last name correctly.
Listen, like we were just discussing earlier before I hit record, I was like, yo, you're definitely one of us. So we're
Yeah.
neighboring countries because I'm Ecuadorian. So
Oh, nice, nice.
you're Colombiano, so I'm like, all right, bet. Like I know he's one of us. So I just had to make sure.
That's right.
So let's just jump into business. New album. Tell me about it, and from there we go forward.
I mean, I don't know really too much what to say about it besides I'm super excited for everybody to hear it. When we were recording it, uh it really felt like something special was happening in the room. We all clicked. Everybody was throwing out ideas and having their input with it and just kind of having fun with it. Really, it felt like the formula for writing a currents record has been solidified, and we kind of figured out what makes us currents.
Exactly. So we have, from the previous album, you joined the band in 2020, correct?
20, well, technically 2019.
2019. So you were part of that process for the way it ends.
She kind of, yeah. The way it ends, a lot of it was already pretty much done by the time that I was around, and I, even though I didn't really join the band until 2019, I'd been friends with them and been at least somewhat involved with the band since like the very beginning of it. So like even from like I was listening to like all of uh the place I feel safest, like uh what's it called? Um, pre-productions and stuff like that to try to, they're like, yo, what do you think about this? And this and that. And be like, this is tight. And at the time I was like, I don't even know how you guys play that stuff.
And now here you are, like, now I'm doing it. Now I'm part of the recording. Now I'm part of the writing. I'm part of, like, the giving my opinion on things. And let me ask you, from the way it ends to this record, do you feel like it's following a recurring theme, the same theme from the way it ends, or is this like a whole new theme, like a whole new concept?
Yeah, I mean, so Brian's pretty much like the mastermind behind like having all of like the general concepts of everything. And from uh, the way it ends and the place I feel safest to now the death we seek, it all kind of follows a linear storyline, and everything kind of has, we like to have fun with it and give the fans like something to connect to from not just from this record but from like the first records, because sometimes it can be something as simple as somebody that fell in love with the first record will hear a reference from it and will be like, oh wow, like there's a connection there, and it might make them feel a certain way back, from way back then to when they first heard it, to give them some sort of nostalgic feeling. And on the other end of it too, when somebody listens, maybe a new fan that hears the death we seek for the first time will hear something and be like, oh, what is that a reference to? And then they'll go back and listen to the older stuff.
Yeah, I think that's because yeah, like literally, even when I got into currents, I started with like with the 2020 record with the way it ends, I was like, yo, this is pretty good. So then when I hear "Remember Me," I was like, yo, like I'm feeling some sort of theme, some sort of concept within like unity and like I feel like right now in the world, especially, we're divided. And what I read, like a statement that Brian said on "Remember Me," it's like with unity, with like people being divided right now,
Mhm.
and trying to like unite us. I could be wrong if I understand from that statement correctly.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, especially to kind of everything that we went through in the pandemic, it kind of really highlighted what's important, especially to us personally. And because like even each other, you know, there was so much uncertainty at first that we all couldn't even get into a room at the same time because, Ryan lived with his grandparents and like he didn't want to get them sick and stuff like that. So like the whole dynamic of all of our lives and relationships really changed, as I'm sure, everybody else in the world.
Yeah, of course. And now, like, speaking of pandemics, with the pandemic and all, pre-pandemic, everyone was like doing their lives. And I want to ask you this: how have you as a person and how have the band changed post-pandemic? Getting back into like what's considered normal life. Especially with like the recording process of the album. Do you feel like that inspired you guys for The Death We Seek, or it was like, you know what, you guys had it set in stone?
Well, I mean, it definitely. So we came off of doing those two Ice Nine Kill tours post pandemic, and then we went right into the studio. And the energy that we felt from playing those show, being on those tours, and finally being back, from the lowest points of our lives, um, that really lit a fire under us and like really reignited the passion and kind of it puts on a clear view and uh gets rid of all the bullshit and things that don't matter. And it definitely made us have like a clear image of where we want our futures to be.
Yeah, that's good. And I actually remember that one show with the Iceland Kills. I think you guys were, I'm in New Jersey. So I think that was
Oh,
like,
okay, right on.
so like that was like the Starland show. I was like, yo, the
Yeah.
ballroom, that's crazy. That's where I first heard you guys. So I was like, yo, this is pretty tight. Like I gotta get into it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So Death We Seek, is out in May, and it's from like doing, supporting acts, your first ever US headline tour. So how does that feel now to be like, like we're at the top of the bill?
Yeah, that's it's been the number one complaint anybody has had coming to our shows the last few years is they're like, when are you gonna headline? We want a longer set. So it feels really good. It feels good that we're seeing the ticket sales and everything looks great. All the VIPs are like, filling out and selling out. We have a few sold out shows that we're, you know, trying to see if we can like upgrade certain venues. There's a lot of like logistics that go into all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
But we just want to put together the best possible show and like the best experience for somebody to come out and see us.
I really look forward to, definitely, I will be in the New York show.
Hell yeah.
So just telling you right now, that's gonna be the best show on the tour, man. I don't care what they say. It's the East Coast, baby. We dominate that shit.
That's right. Represent.
So right, so you got opening acts, you got like Moths to Flames and then Animate. I think I pronounced that right.
Animate.
Anime.
Yes,
Twitter's
sir.
gonna Twitter's gonna come at me for that one,
No,
but
you're good. You're good.
Unity, Texas, and Foreign Hands. That is a stacked lineup. So, within that lineup, how does it feel like, to have those bands come with you to support?
Oh, I mean, it's such an honor. Like so many of those band, like Moths to Flames, like have been one of my favorite bands since high school. So it's really incredible to be able to share like that experience with them and to kind of hopefully that we can give them just as good of an experience taking them with us. Because it's our first time, there's going to be some learning curves and figuring out some things like along the way. But we've toured with like a lot of really good bands. We just finished that Parkway Drive tour, and that was like a master class on how to treat your supporting bands. Like they're so kind and accommodating. So hopefully from here on out we'll be able to take all of those lessons and then also be able to bring out more up and coming bands. Like Unity Texas is a band that we love and we want more people to hear about. It's like all of the bands that come out with us.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. I feel like, and that's like the best part within like the whole metal community. People want more music to be exposed. You want more people to realize what they're missing out and everyone expressing their own forms of art. And I feel
Mhm.
like within the supporting acts is like where you like everyone has their own interests, like you discover more. That's how I
Mm.
discovered you guys, from supporting acts and many other bands as well.
Oh, absolutely. And besides, we want to bring out like the hardest hitting bands ever. We had to play after like Landmarks and Crystal Lake before on tours, and that is the most like some people might, I don't know why, like some people have this like famine mentality being like there's only enough fans for us, not you guys. But I see those bands and it gets me so hyped up to do is like to go out and do the best performance that I can because I'm like those guys just lit the room on fire, so we got to keep it going.
Exactly, exactly. And I feel like that's the best part when you see that interaction. Like the more like within like the opening bands, like the more they give, you're like, okay, like we got to keep this up.
100%.
Exactly. And now, like you said, like you mentioned previously, like you learn from Parkway Drive how to treat supporting bands. Now as a headliner tour, what do you think? What have you learned from Parkway Drive that you can do for your support now that you wanted to like, I guess, give back to the supporting bands? Like, what do you, as a headliner band, what do you do to make sure supporting bands feel safe and they feel comfortable?
Well, I think for sure what you need to do is have the breathing room for, this is like to have an outline of beginning of show, end of show, like, or in plus pre-show and everything. We all have a job to do. How are you going to be able to do your job within these guidelines? As opposed to kind of being like, here's your spot, here's your time, work with it, or sorry. There's no sometimes there's no breathing room. And we've been in those situations where, you know, you're trying to scramble to get all of your gear plugged in and everything together. You have like a little bit amount of space to be on stage. And then they're like, all right, time's up, you got to go on stage right now, and you're like, only half my shit is plugged in right now. Like
Yeah.
I gotta go, and then you gotta cut songs, and then that part's a nightmare because overall my goal is to be able to have the best possible experience for our fans, and that includes like the opening bands, and that includes like the VIPs and stuff, because if you want to, if they're going to come out, you know it sometimes it's like you've had so many great days in your life and don't remember a lot of them, so
Yeah.
we gotta make it like extra special.
Of course, of course. That's great, and I think that's at the end of the day, like within like bands and all, you want to make sure that everyone feels like welcome because you want at the start of a tour and at the end of the tour, these people become like essentially your family because you're with them every day almost.
Oh yeah, it's some of the best friends I've ever had in my life. I've met through music and just being welcome. Fit for a King's another one. They treat us like brothers. They're so kind, and just to be able to go up to them and be like, hey, what would you do in this situation, or like would like you could put any, they straight up like, Tuck would give me the shirt off of his back because he's just such a kind person, and he's so kind he'd probably do it for you too, even if he doesn't know you.
That's yeah, for sure. No, that means a lot actually. It's like it's good when people are genuine hearted, And it's funny because like when you go on stage and you see like these dudes like screaming and throwing their guitars up in the air, and then
Mhm.
backstage you're like, "Yo, what's up?" I was like, "You're like, what the fuck?"
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's one of the funniest things Brian gets is that people are like, "You don't look like you'd sound like that."
No, exactly. It's like, oh, okay, so that's how you are.
Yeah.
And well, and like with the tour and let's go to like the side that most fans don't see. I feel like, and I feel like it's something that's not really that people try to understand, but they don't get it. The behind the scenes, the logistics, the touring, the money.
Mhm.
Like there it is.
There they are.
There they are.
Yeah, somebody must be pulling up in the driveway right now.
So within like it's like how do you guys, I guess my question is what's the one misconception that fans have when they're headlining tours as opposed to supporting acts? When it's like behind the scenes within setting up, money and all that stuff.
Um, well, I'm trying to think of what like the misconception would be. I mean, yeah, a lot of the times people just kind of assume that we're all, I mean, I guess every band is a little bit different, but at least most of my friends and most of the bands that I tour with, like a lot of people can think that it's like all one big party the entire time, or we're trashing hotel rooms or like doing drugs or getting drunk or anything like that. And but it's not like that at all. Honestly, uh, putting as much time into like recovering and not and trying to sleep just at least a couple hours a night
Yeah.
is huge. But there's some people that can just, drive the wheels off the bus, like both literally and figuratively. Um, I mean, I think I don't know. I think money could be a big thing too, of like people thinking like that the bands like decide on ticket prices or certain things. One of the big hot topics right now for a lot of bands is the merch cuts and like the way that merch is being sold.
I was actually gonna get into that later on, but hey, you beat me to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a big one too. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, $40 for a t-shirt. And you gotta be like, yeah, the venue's making us do this because, if we don't, we will lose money selling you this shirt.
And within that, do you guys negotiate? I feel like it's like a closet. Do you guys negotiate prices with the venues, or the venues straight up tell you what the flat rate, like this is the flat rate for what we're taking or merch cuts?
So I will say that a lot of the time they're in the contracts, but every venue is different. Some are run almost like mom and pop shops. Some are run like just, cutthroat businesses. There's been times where, and like I'm not going to say because I don't want to get anybody in trouble because it's at
No,
a very
no, exactly.
it's a very corporate venue. But on this last run, one of the woman like in control of everything running the whole show, she had heard about our guitar player Ryan with cancer, and she was just like, don't worry about a merch cut. She's like, consider that my donation. And like, so that's so kind and, generous of them, like where they don't have to do that. I think a lot of that kind of goes into, the people that are running the shows. Some people care, some people don't. Some people just see money. um, and then there are times too where, especially I think where it gets really like weird is when the venues will essentially force the band to sell their merch through them. So like we have like our merch person Sarah, she comes out with us, and then like let's just say there'll be a random venue that says Sarah can't work tonight. You have to use our person, and it's not just like us, it's the entire package has to use one person. So now in ever all of the bands probably sell 30% less merch because this one person isn't as efficient in selling as the people that we hire to do it ourselves. And then so then on top of that, we're still paying Sarah to be there. She can't do half of her job, and then the venues taking essentially her tips because oh well, that's another thing. A lot of people think that the tipping system like at our merch table will go like directly to us, but that's such a hard tiring job that record that should be recognized way more. So like not every band, but our band gives 100% of the tips to Sarah, but then they take that from her. So it's I think it's really gross.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that too, and that's what people don't realize. Even I used to think, I thought like when you give tips to merch people, it was like, oh, you're giving it to the band. So I learned it was like, oh no, that usually sometimes goes like to the people who sell merch. And then like
Mhm.
when you realize, I was like, yo, like it makes sense because these guys are also like on the road, they're dealing with like a stack full of lines of people, yelling like, oh, give me a size large or give me a medium, L, S, L, S. They're like, yo, I'm all over the
Yeah.
fucking place.
Oh yeah, and it goes way beyond that too because there's a whole like system involved where we have to like we some band when you get big like bands travel with box trucks for our merch and stuff, but ours just goes in our trailer with our gear and stuff. So we have to kind of be accurate and pinpoint when we're going to need new merch drops. sent to different cities. So if we're getting low on like X amount of t-shirts, we have to put an order in before we run out, or else we risk, losing money like
Yeah.
that night. Because like, oh, we don't have any merch to sell tonight.
Oh no, and yeah, I mean that's this again. Money is a huge thing. Like we can go on this for hours, really, but
Oh,
and
for sure.
because I feel like a lot, not there's not a lot being talked about within like the scene of like the truth about touring, because a lot of people like even my own people friends that I associate myself with, they think that people like the record gives money. I was like, no, it doesn't really work like that. The record will give you money, but as an investment, you have to give back that investment essentially.
Yeah, essentially, it's the way that record labels work is that they are like a bank, and they're especially when you're a new band, they're taking a risk on you, so they need to kind of recoup that amount of money as quickly as possible. And then once you get a couple records out and your band like starts to get bigger, then that's where you have negotiating power, because at first you're like, I've sold 0 records. You wanted me to pay you how much? But
Yeah.
now you can go into it being like, hey, we sold this amount of records, we think that like we're going to project that the band's going to grow, it's on this timeline, so we're going to continue to go on this path, so we think we're worth this much. And you have a little bit
Of leeway,
yes, exactly.
or a little bit of leverage. That's the correct word.
Yeah.
And and as within record, you guys are with Sharpton, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Who I love, everybody there is so great.
Now you're saying that because like that's your
No,
no, I'm
not
kidding.
not no, I would tell them too, but like all of them are it's like family. They'll come out to random shows of ours all the time, and you know it's just it's such a there's such good people there that I'm proud to represent them.
Yeah, and like I feel like that's another thing too with record labels. Working with Sharp Tone, you work with bands such as Holding Absence, Loathe, and many others. I could go on more and more. And what do you think is important as a band for record labels to make sure that their members are treated fairly, are compensated fairly, and etc. I think you get the point.
Mhm. I mean, I feel like that kind of is almost based on an individual kind of level. Like I said, everything kind of goes into the negotiation of what your band is worth. And I think the label is a little bit similar to what I was saying about the the venues, is that some people have more of a family type way of running their business, and then some people have more of a business like cutthroat sense, and that all you know some people don't care about your feelings, and this is what it is, black and white. And then some people are like, well, I don't want you to go hungry, so I'm gonna make sure you get paid.
Yeah, nah, and I feel that's really good. I feel like Sharpton's one of those like few record labels that actually care about their members and want the best for like I feel like with the music, and like let you do your thing. Like everyone does their thing. Like you're with us, do your thing, and we believe in you.
Oh yeah, and they give us so much room to just have control of our own like creativity. Like they don't ever come in, like some labels will come in with no, they'll hear like a couple songs and they'll be like, we think you should go in a more pop direction. And
Yeah,
they're not like that at all. They're just like, sounds great. Or even if there is something, they'd be like, you sure about that one? And we'll be like, ah.
yeah. Just trust me on
Just
that one.
trust me. Yeah.
Or I can be like, we'll put down a bonus. How about that one?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's great. That's great. That's really good to hear. So I think touring and everything wise, really like I really hope the best for you guys, and like you guys make sure that make have fun. Really, I think that's the best. I think this is like the most important part.
Oh yeah, we're all so excited about it. We were actually just on the phone all together yesterday, like going through all the details and everything that we have going on, and just as many ideas that we can to just have as much fun as we can.
And what do you think is gonna be? I think yes. How many? I can't say how many songs we're talking about because that just ruined the surprise. But what city are you most excited to play for? Really, New
Ooh,
York, right?
what's that?
New York, right?
I mean, New York's always great. Oh man. Well, we kind of really design the flow of this tour to go to all of our favorite spots. So everywhere it's almost like we've been doing this all for so long now that I don't really get super excited for locations as much as like the people in certain cities. Because we've made so many friends along the way, like, oh, I'm gonna like we're gonna be here and here, and like, oh, that's where this one person lives. And the other thing is our band, the sole purpose of Currents, the reason why we're a band, the reason why we all live is so that we can eat. And we are food whores and we love eating at different places all around the country. we have our favorite food spots at every single location.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a fair reason. So now
Yeah.
fans, so like now fans are gonna be bringing like probably like Chipotle bowls next time. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like here's some food, bro."
Really? Well, yeah, we'll oh man, yeah.
Yo,
We put it down. That's why I have to exercise as much as I do.
yeah, and then you know what? When I go to New York show, I'll be sure to bring some Colombian empanadas, bro, from a spot.
Oh, yes, let's go.
I'll be sure to be like, yo, like I'll go to Skip. Like, no, 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 I know that dude, bro. Trust me.
Yeah. Yo,
And
do you stuff your arepas?
excuse me,
Your arepas? Do you stuff them or do you put them on the top? Stuff on the top of them?
put them on the top, man.
All right, good, good. Or is it? I think I stayed up.
You think about pupusas, bro? That's a Salvadorian thing.
No, 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 no. I went to I stayed at a buddy's house and oh, they're Venezuelan. And they like stuffed their arepas
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
just
they
like,
do.
what are you doing?
Nah, I mean, with me, the arepa, bro, like I gotta grab it, with like chicharron on the side and like the
Oh
bean. I'm
yeah.
like, yo, like, and
Yeah.
people are like, yo, you eat all that? I'm like, and I got the spoon in my hand. I'm like, yeah, I'm eating all of it.
Yeah, let's go.
I was like, don't worry, bro. I'll burn it all up later. Trust me.
Yeah. The store-bought ones with the queso inside of it, so good
Yes,
too.
dude, it's so good. Nah, man, I've been to Colombia, man. The food is just different, man. It's so
Yeah, I haven't been able to go yet. It's been like the dream.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
So
My dad's from Medellin.
you never made? Oh, I've actually been to Medellin. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And then but the spots like Cartagena and stuff like that, or like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beach
I've been
spots.
been to those two spots, man. And let me tell
Yeah.
you, they're all great spots. But Cartagena, bro, is like I gotta be like pouring down a bottle of water on my head like every hour.
Oh, the heat.
The heat, man. I was like, yo, I'm sweating already.
Yeah, that's so funny.
It really is. Now, is that like a dream thing to like one day just tour in South America? Because down in
Oh,
South
100%.
America, like like for us, like metal and rock, that's our thing down there.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been one of the things I've been like, are we going yet? We going yet? We going yet? Like I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to go. One of like the only reason I haven't gone yet is my dad's been having some issues with like his passport stuff because he changed his name legally up here.
Okay.
So I think his Colombian passport has one name and his US passport has another name on it. So going back and forth, I think he'll be fine to go back to go there, but would have issues coming back.
Oh, okay. I see how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, literally, like that's why, like, even with me with my dual citizenship, when I go to Ecuador, they say that you're Brian. I was like, yeah. They're like, where's your Ecuadorian identification? Ah, shit, yo, I forgot it, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah. Be like, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, I'm like, but I'm him though.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that man. I feel like the more you expose yourself to like other parts of the world, you're like, yo, like this is what people are actually into. Like it's crazy when you realize people outside of like the US, are listening to your art and stuff.
Oh yeah, we get people from like all over the place that will like sometimes people will just fly out from different places of the world and they'll just come to like a random show and be like in like Texas or something and they'll be like, I'm from, the North Pole. And we'll be like, why are you here? And they're like, to come see you. And I'm like, that's nuts. But
Yeah,
it's so cool.
there was this one funny story. I went to the Counterpart show a couple months ago.
Mhm.
And I met this dude. He was so cool. I was like, "Oh, I'm from Amsterdam." I was like, "Why? Like, how?"
Yeah. Yeah, what are
It's
you
like
doing
the,
here?
I was like, "Where'd you come?" He was like, "Oh, I flew out to see them." I came to
Yeah.
vacation in New York, so like I saw they were coming, so I might as well took it. I was like, "Okay, fair enough."
Yeah, yeah.
But still, it's like, what the fuck? Like, okay,
Well, that's the cool thing about music is that it just transcends so many different things.
it really does, and I feel like that's like the part that it's just amazing how much people can unite. How much just a simple, just from doing like a 0-0 open string, unites people.
Yeah, even like I was saying before, we toured with Crystal Lake, and some of those guys, like when Rio was in the band, like his English was really, really good. And then some of the guys, it wasn't as good, but we still had conversations, and the depth of how similar certain aspects of like each other's lives are is was almost incredible because like they are on the opposite sides of the planet,
Yeah,
and I think just the human connection is so similar to so many different people that it you know being from different places, and it you know it shows how much more similar we are than different.
yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it. You know, and from there, you meet more people and more cultures, and like you experience the other. I guess in a way, you experience new lives. That's the way I see it
Yeah, for sure.
for the more traveling. But speaking of when we were talking about food and like exercising, jujitsu, that's your thing. I've noticed.
Oh yeah, that's my other love.
So, how did you get into jujitsu?
So my dad, when I was a young kid, owned a karate school,
Oh,
and that was in like the early 2000s. And then so when he was doing that, they were a pretty like well established karate school, and this Brazilian guy came up to fight in the UFC, and he needed a striking coach.
oh,
So he found like my dad and a couple of the other guys in their gyms, and they were his striking coach, and he taught them jujitsu. So my dad would take what he learned from him, and we would do like some jujitsu stuff like on the side, and that's when I fell in love with it, like as like a young kid. And then I basically stayed with it up to through my teenage years. But then, once high school hit, and then music and skateboarding and girls and all that stuff, like I kind of lost that side of me.
uh-huh.
I got 5 huskies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow, that's
um,
thank you, I'm but like, man, like that's the shed. That's gonna be like, yo, that's a lot of shed. I
oh yeah, I got lint rollers for days.
think.
Um, but yeah, so I
That could be a new merch idea. Just saying.
lint rollers.
Current lint roll, current lint roll.
Yeah, a lot of it gets shipped to my house too. So if any of you guys get husky hair on your clothes, I'm sorry. But yeah, so throughout my teenage years, I kind of fell out of it, and then again in my early 20s, just I was talking to a friend, my friend Mike McGregor, shout out Mike. He basically convinced me to go back into the gym, and first day back, and then I just never stopped. I was like, it was like a piece of me that was missing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like, I've seen you post pictures and like in the gym. Is like, I don't know if it's like, is that your gym per se, or is that you train at that gym?
So my brother and I instruct out of the gym. We're two of four instructors there. Um, and the owner of our gym, his name is Mike Wacker. Uh, the headquarters of that gym is in Wappingers, New York. And so like I'll go and train out of there. There's a ton of schools like within his network, so we basically can go all over the place and train. We have a whole network of schools down in Florida as well, down in Tampa, called Gracie Tampa. You know, and then we have friends all over the place. We have like our friends at 10th Planet in Springfield that my brother and I go up and hang out with all the time. And then my buddy Alberto owns a spot in Connecticut called Black Wolf. They're awesome dudes, and you know, it's really really similar to like the music community where it's like small, everybody knows each other, but everybody's like supportive of each other too.
That's amazing. That's amazing, really. So
Yeah.
I guess my next question is UFC is this Saturday.
Oh, let's go, baby.
Who do you got?
Woo. I mean, I don't want to say that that head kick was lucky because he set that up beautifully, but you know, Kamaru Usman really was dominating that fight. So if I had to guess, if he plays it smart, I think Kamaru Usman will take that.
I really think so too, because when I watched that first fight, like Kamara dominated. The second fight, I was like, I don't know, man. Those last seconds, it was well executed. I was like, you just hit a right. For me, I'll
Yeah.
stand by it. I was like, he got it right on the dot, bro. That
Oh
was
yeah, he hit the right button combo and
he
just
hit the right button combo right at the right second, and he got it.
that's right.
The third one's gonna be interesting for me. It's like, yo, it's gonna be good. Like, trust me. And then you have Adesanya Pereira again. I was like, and that one, I think I'm more nervous for that fight as opposed
Yeah.
to the Usman fight.
Yeah, I
I
saw
love my
that.
boy Izzy.
Yeah, well, I've trained before at Alex's gym before, and I've met him, and he's so big. He's so much bigger than you think he is.
Which one are we talking about right now?
Alex Pereira.
Wow.
Yeah, so he trains in Connecticut at Glover Teixeira's gym, and some of like you know, like I said, everybody the jiu-jitsu community is really small, so like we have guys you know that will like cross train with them, and you know some of them were in Glover's corner when he won the title, so like all that's really cool. It's cool to be like a part of like both things in both worlds.
So like, you literally like saw this dude like in person, you're like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's an animal. He's a Brazilian animal.
So like, have you ever met other like UFC professional fighters?
Yeah, I've met Dustin Poirier before. I've met quite like a few of them. The person that I'm probably like was most starstruck to have ever met was Mike Tyson.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's such a nice dude too. It was awesome. He gave us he gave us like an hour of his time.
Well, that's really amazing. You know, that's like the star strike. You know, when you see fighters like, whoa, and like, oh, like anyone you recognize, it's like, wow. You know, it's like you're giving time to me, like
Yeah, yeah,
to me. So
for
that's
sure.
amazing. That's amazing, you know. And so yeah, that's Saturday. So I'm gonna be excited for that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a
That's
good
a good
card.
one. It's gonna be a good one. So I think I think we talked about most things for sure. And I think the final we'll start so that we can start, I guess wrapping it up in a way. So finally within like I guess as all fans we want to know like how is Ryan doing?
Ryan's great. Ryan, he, you know, we were talking to him a little bit, and you know, he's going through his treatments right now. Uh, they're difficult, but he's like really positive about it, and it kind of gives us all like you know hope, and you know he'll be back. He's really excited to come back. He misses us and all of the fans and being able to be on stage, and also that we get to eat all the good food without him. His doctor told him not to lose weight, you know, like, hey, don't lose weight. And what he heard was gain weight. So
So he was like, oh, so eat, all right.
eat more. Yeah. His mom's an incredible, well, both of his parents like cook like crazy and they're awesome. So I'm sure he's having the time of his life, just not having, just being able to stay home, get fed and play video games.
Literally, it's like, oh man. And even like the GoFundMe, her response has been like amazing within the community, you know.
Dude, that was incredible because when we first started hearing like about like how expensive it was, we were like, "Oh, whoa!" Like it's no joke. Like that, like you know, keeping somebody from dying is really expensive.
Yeah, and I come, I've had, even my dad had a similar situation, he went through his treatment, so it's like a shock, but he's been so positive about it.
Oh
He was,
yeah,
he was so positive about it. He was like, "I'll be fine." And he's like, "We'll be fine." I'm like, we're like, "All right, I'll trust you."
Yeah, that's basically the same way that we went through it. There was a time, I'm sure you had like a similar experience where it was almost like a time of like mourning,
Yeah,
of like, oh my goodness, this is real, because you never think it's going to be happen to you or anybody you
anyone that
love.
you know.
Yeah, it's always just like, yeah, you read about that online or like you hear about it in the news, but when it actually happens, like there's that moment of shock, being like, is this real life? Like, no, no, like it can't be real.
Yeah,
But it is, and we have to face those things head on and support each other, and immediately, it's just like in our nature, we went to like terrible jokes, like to try to like break that. There's no
but
need.
you
there's
always gotta go like to like the dark humor to like break it out of it.
Oh, 100%. Like none of us, like he would have been bummed out if we were just like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need anything?" Like he would have been like, "Go away."
He's like, I would be like, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
what we eating, boys?
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it goes.
That's great. That's great. And is the GoFundMe still open by any chance? Just
I think it may have closed once they hit the mark, which was they hit like really fast. Um that so we're all really incredibly grateful for all of that. Um I think we still, I'm not sure. We're definitely going to have some more stuff as far as like we had the vinyl variant for him, and some other stuff on the shop. So I mean, if anybody ever wants any sort of like updates on him, or if there's anything that they want to contribute, it'll be from our website.
which I will drop, in the description below if people want to check that out. And I think we've covered mostly, unless remember this is listen, like you're on your own. We're on like in each other's time basically.
Yeah.
So unless like you want to talk about anything else, like hey man, the state, like it's yours, like the room's yours.
How was your day?
Sure, that's a great question. That's so finally someone's asking how's my day. It's good, man. I'm a teacher, so a teacher's aide.
Oh, beautiful.
So like when my students, they when they see me like doing an interview, like when I told my students I'm gonna interview like a bandman, and they're like, "Oh, Mr. Crespo's gonna interview a rock guy." I was like, "That's exactly what it is, a rock guy."
Yeah, that's
They,
awesome.
so they know it's like the screamer guy because I scream, in front of my kids. I'm like, I'm gonna teach you how to scream real quick, or I'll do like a scream. And they're like, no, 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 continue, continue.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
I'm like, you little motherfuckers actually like this shit. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so cool. I never, even like with jujitsu and stuff, like I never would have considered myself like a teacher or ever thought like that's what I want to do. But then once I started doing it, I fell in love with it. Like it's so awesome, especially with like the kid. Like, what age group do you teach?
Usually for like, it's very because I teach special education, so
Okay.
it's like from first to fourth. So I deal with ages 6 to like 10,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yes. I mean,
sometimes here and
that's a
there.
that's a fun age group.
It is a funny. It's like when it's going, they're like, okay, they actually like this. Like
Yeah,
the other day, I put like Chelsea Grant, and they're like, do it again. I was like, no, 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 you're gonna get crazy here, bro. That's great.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
That's funny. It's funny too, because like there's been a couple times, and like I don't want to say it, but I've had to put a couple parents in place. And then afterwards they leave and they're like, "Yo, Coach Christian can beat up Dad." Like,
they're like, wow, you have to be like, I didn't technically do that.
yeah, I mean, like, I just put him in his place.
There you go. You can be like, that was today's lesson, boys.
Yeah, that was the lesson. No, but it's fun. That's cool. Uh, especially helping like guide the a younger generation.
Yeah. And I feel like, the next generation you get, I feel like the next generation of young kids, even like myself, or I guess our generation, like we just want to be better, I guess, in a way.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's what progress is.
Yeah, literally. But, other than that, Christian, thank you so much for your time. It really means a lot. Just know that from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you responding to that tweet of mine.
Oh, anytime, man. This is fun. I love doing stuff like this. And
Really, it was like, I like again, like I thought I was gonna have like a little ring rust. I was like, yo, I'm rusty, bro. I'm gonna be rusty, but it came out natural, and that
yeah, I mean, it's been a minute since I've done one of these too, so I kind of felt a little bit similar, but it was easy. I'm looking forward to seeing you out in New York. We'll get some food beforehand.
you do it. Hey man, hands down for sure, for sure. I gotta be
Oh
like,
yeah.
anyway, guys, remember the Death We Seek is out May 5th, and be sure to check out Currents on their headline tour. And if you're in New York, I will see you in that pit.
Let's go.
Bless your heart. Thank you, and have a good one.
Thank you. You too, brother.